And hello, this is Ed Garrett with TMStash.com with a special edition of our podcast. We are here with Jeremy Whitley of the now successful Kickstarter for Illegal. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We've had a chance to talk with you before about PRINCELESS and other projects going on here, but now we've got Illegal. Tell us about Illegal.
Illegal is a series that's it's a creator-owned series that myself and series artist Heather Nunnelly have come up with. It's all about our main character is an undocumented immigrant in near future America who is living in this this world where not only is the immigrant sort of living on the bottom rung of things, but you know, the rich have separated themselves drastically from the poor. They live in you know, sort of an upper level where they never have to come down and associate with everybody else, and all of the citizens are tracked by microchip. Everything they do is you know, recorded, and you know, everything they buy, every place they go. So, you know, our heroine, Gianna, finds herself in a position where she's, you know, been turned in by one of her previous employers, and is faced with a situation where she finds herself running for her life, and has to decide whether she wants to keep running or whether she's going to decide to actually stand and fight.
There's so many themes that run through this series here. You've got the immigration issue, you've got racism, you've got abuse that comes in here. I think there's some domestic abuse that she's endured growing up, and issues of privacy as well that come in when so many of the citizens of this near future country have willingly given up every bit of privacy they own to be microchipped.
Yeah, you know, I guess you can't really accuse me of not putting much into the story. You know, I've sort of thrown in these things that I think are very much related, but are all sort of bits of science fiction stories that interest me. Because I think, you know, our immigration system has already gotten to the point of being sort of a weird dystopia as it is, and then you know, to think about the situation where so many people are concerned about, you know, what's actually happening to citizens, and citizens being tracked and being watched, and the government keeping all these records of them. It seemed like sort of a natural fit to have these two issues of you know, the sort of perils of being a citizen of the U.S., while at the same time, you know, have the actual, you know, have these people that are on the outside that would do anything to, you know, be part of this.
It actually all makes sense. It's like when we hear the debates that are on the news today, we're probably one good microchip away from this being a reality. Where did your inspiration from the story come from? I think on the Kickstarter you tell some personal story that sort of led into this.
Yeah, my my grandfather is a Mexican immigrant. You know, he's my dad's stepdad, but he's one of the most important people in my life, and you know, was a bigger part of raising me than either of my biological grandfathers. And he's, you know, he was one of the bravest and most amazing people I've ever known, and he had a lot of, you know, these same issues where, you know, he grew up in a household that was abusive, and you know, it's sort of one of those situations that, you know, for just the grace of God, that could have been him. He could be one of those, you know, people that you see now on the news that are just stuck on the other side of the border, trying to get away from, you know, these things in this past life, and, you know, some time ago would have been able to, you know, and had they been, you know, white or Italian or you know, other immigrants from Europe, and, you know, the days when all the people who are now, consider themselves legal citizens when their grandparents and great grandparents decided to move to the U.S. You know, those people could have easily been. I mean, we look on those people as heroes now. We have these sort of epic stories about the American immigrant, and at the same time are looking at these other people that are, dying to immigrate right now, and somehow we see villains, and I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. I know if we look at our history, just about every group that's ever come over has faced some sort of prejudice when they first arrived, but they've managed to fit in and be highly contributing members of society, and there's no reason that couldn't happen again.
Absolutely. I think Heather is trying to join up. She's
Oh,
messaging me right now.
that would be really good if we could get her on board. We're trying to bring in Heather as well. She's had some internet problems here, but we're trying to get her in so that we can have the full team here. Heather is the artist for Illegal, and it's also known for previous work on her webcomic, which I think is still ongoing, called Vacant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vacant is still going on right now.
I think if you go to, I think it's imaginetheending.net/vacant. It's if you want to check that series out. And I've had a chance to look through the first 3 issues of that. It's really good. So hopefully we'll get her on board here in just a little bit. We can talk a little bit about some of the designs that we've seen from the pages already. You've got your first goal met already. Already setting some stretch goals in for future stuff here. The original vision of this is a 15-issue series.
Yep, that's our goal, is to have 3 5-issue storylines, a total of 15 issues, and to wrap the whole story up in that time. We want to tell a complete story. I've had the the experience with PRINCELESS of having so much story to tell and so much more I want to do with it that it's sometimes I wish I could wrap up a thing and go from there, but I wanted to take the chance to tell a complete story and have something that we could not necessarily wrap up with a nice little bow at the end, but actually complete and have a real ending on it. So that was my goal there, is to and to be able to tell that full story, and for Heather and I to actually be able to devote the time and attention to what we wanted to, and that's sort of the goal of the Kickstarter too, is to be able to kind of buy that time so that we can concentrate on this specifically and not have to worry about other, or Heather specifically not have to worry about other paying jobs and stuff like that, but can concentrate on getting this story done.
Sounds good. I've just resent the link to Heather. Hopefully we can bring her on board on here, and we'll get things set up here. The story itself is going to have a little bit of action in it. She's doing a little bit of parkour in the middle of the series here, which sounds like you would need in that kind of a series with so much stratified buildings to it.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the idea. Is it's a really tall vertical city, and we wanted to be we wanted her to be able to navigate that city sort of uniquely, because in order to survive, to get away from the kind of pressures and people that are pursuing her, she's going to need to be able to move in ways that they can't, and get around the city in ways that they can't even imagine. So yeah, both her and one of the other characters will be introduced by the end of this issue, whose name is Emma. Both do a little bit of parkour. Emma is a gymnast as well. So you get to see quite a bit of action. There's a lot of running, especially in this first issue. So we wanted to make sure and have that be interesting and dynamic. And I mean, there's nothing worse than a boring chase scene. So I wanted to make sure to give it some interest and really use that vertical landscape that we establish as a part of the story there.
I think that the parts of it that seem to make it sort of necessary, they've apparently, with microchipping, sort of taken it to the point where they're actually scanning them on the streets.
Yep, they have to deal with. We have a visitor here.
Hey, that's good. Hello. Glad to have you here.
Up here.
Hi.
This is my daughter, Zuri. Yeah, so there are often checkpoints that are set up for people along the way just to to try and catch illegals, and they wanted to we needed to make sure that she had a way to get around and avoid those people and those those situations. So.
Yeah, is this sort of a society where if you're not microchipped, you really can't do much of anything in society? I mean, it sounds like if they're tracking your purchases, are you able to do anything on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of it's kind of unique in that she's not being microchipped, one of the few people that's able to move around without being tracked. But at the same time, it's very difficult to do a lot of those things. So she can't. It's very difficult to purchase food in some places, and it's hard to just get from place to place. Sometimes she can't. There's some doors, especially in the upper levels of the city, that she can't get through because you have to be able to scan through those, and it's very limiting. But at the same time, I think a lot of the people who are citizens and are chipped see it differently, and that they are limited themselves in what they can do because they're always being watched.
By the way, I've just gotten a message from Heather that the system crashed on her, so she's trying to get back in. We'll see if we get her here in just a moment.
All right.
While we're waiting for her, let's talk a little bit about, you got other projects that are still going. PRINCELESS Volume 3, The Pirate Princess, is still coming out later is it later this year or early next?
Both, actually.
Okay.
So the first place that people are going to be able to see the Pirate Princess story, which is PRINCELESS Volume 3, is we're going to have a 10-page preview in the Halloween Comic Fest book from Action Lab. So it's a free book that's going to be available. I believe it's October 25th in any participating comic shops. Kids can go in and pick up one of these books along with their Marvel and DC and other big publishers will have their books there as well. So you can go in and get a copy of this. It'll have a preview of my story and then also a short story from our upcoming series from Action Lab, Hero Cats. It's all about superhero cats. So that'll be the first place that people can see any of it, but the series will be starting in earnest in January. So that Volume 3 will be running January, February, March, April, and then we've actually already got Volume 4 started. So Volume 4 should be May, June, July, August, and if all goes well, you may actually have PRINCELESS comics every month next year. So. Oh, that would be great. Now, you've also been doing some My Little Pony lately. Do you have any more coming out, or have we? Yeah, I've had 2 issues of My Little Pony Friends Forever, which are the team-up stories. So I've got issues 2 and 7 of that are out. And then I have 2 issues of the ongoing series, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which is I'm going to be issues 23 and 24, which I believe are coming out the next 2 months. So those are both sort of one-shot stories that people will be able to check out and get in on. And then we've already got some other stuff hopefully down the line, which is a little less set in stone at this point.
All right, and we have joining us now Heather Nunnelly. How are you doing?
Crashed and then was giving me a hard time when I tried to like download it and all that. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Glad you're with us. We've been talking a little bit about not only Illegal, but a couple of other projects as well. We also mentioned your webcomic Vacant, which is at it's imagineending.net/vacant. So
Yes.
all right, we'll come back to that in just a minute because I want to give a good plug to that as well. I've had a chance to read the first 3 issues of that and really enjoyed it. But now, how did the two of you get to work together on Illegal? I understand you may have done a little bit of work earlier together at some point.
Yeah, we worked on NFL Rush Zone, I think it was, at Action Lab, right? It was? I think it was that.
Yeah, none of my stuff actually got to be published with the NFL Rush Zone stuff, but I did. I wrote some stuff, and some stuff got drawn and colored, and yeah, that was the first on that, and when I had an issue with actually Volume 3 of Princeless, and was looking for a new artist on that, and I happened to stumble across this great artist whose their style fit exactly what I wanted to do on that, and as soon as I had picked them out, I also got a submission from Heather for it, and I really loved her stuff, but the other stuff had been just like this perfect fit for the story, so I was just like, hey, I have to go with these other people, but I really like your stuff. I want to do something together, and I threw her sort of a couple of different scripts and ideas for stuff I was working on, and she seemed to really attach to Illegal, from the beginning on that one.
Now,
Yeah.
what drew you to Illegal?
I think it was especially the fact that it was a female lead. As you could tell with Vacant and my other work, there are men, and I really wanted to do, I wanted to draw more women, and I wanted to do a story about them. And so when he, pitched it to me, I thought the idea was interesting. I liked the perspective that's about, immigration and about the politics of that, and it really grabbed me. It was just like a good sell. And it had its own dark themes, and I guess I'm kind of a lover of I like dark stories. So the fact that it was kind of dark and kind of like interesting and different and daring, that I was like, yes, that one. So yeah, then we started doing concept art, and it's been really great, and I think people have been receiving it well and everything. So.
You've got sort of a fantastic world here. It's a near future, but it's a very different kind of world with extremely tall buildings that sort of stratify the society. How did you get the concept together for making that into reality on the page?
Well, I think for Jeremy, he really described it to me, like very detailed description of how he wanted the cities to look. So it was a lot of us just really talking about it and me trying to find images and being like, is it kind of like this? And doing a lot of different types of drawings and really figuring out like how to get it to look. Because he really wanted the high buildings, and the up high would be like a paradise, and then low would be like not and dark and grim. So and we were talking about that a lot until I could draw some concept art for it, and then he did the thumbs up, and then I knew it was okay, we did it. So that's how that kind of unfolded for me. But I don't know. I guess Jeremy would have something to say about that too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I had kind of a specific idea of kind of how I wanted it to look, and I think Heather brought a really interesting perspective to it, and definitely brought some of herself to the artwork. What I wanted to make sure to do was sort of give this. In the upper level of the city, have this sort of idyllic sort of suburb atmosphere where these people who are rich, which I see this a lot sort of even in the Triangle in North Carolina. You get these communities that are sort of offset, and the the rich people who love these communities never actually have to leave them. They have their own grocery store, their own movie theater, so they've sort of isolated themselves and kept everybody else out. I thought the idea of doing that vertically was really interesting.
I have to agree. It sounds really good. You've got your original goal hit. You've got some stretch goals already set up here, and still some time. If I'm looking at this right, let me grab my trusty iPad because I've had your site logged up on here, and hopefully I can pull this up here in a second. No, it crashed on me. I think you're. Yeah, it's always lovely. Yeah, it's lovely when it does that for you just when you're in the middle of a podcast. At least it was at the main computer for the podcast messing up here. Here we go.
I think it's 18 days. I have it right here.
Yeah.
It says 18.
Yep, and right now, 17 days to go, 208 backers. Here we are, guys. Very cool. And really, if you're looking it up, if you're catching this off of our main website versus our YouTube channel, we will have a link to the Kickstarter underneath this so that you'll be able to catch this and be able to go straight to it. I'm already a backer, and I think this is one that's well worth for a lot of folks taking a look at. Right now, you've got over 200 backers, which is wonderful. What's the next steps here besides trying to get more stretch goals going in here? You've got, is it the first 5 that are is it the first issue now that's funded, the first 5 that are funded, or how are we going for this right now?
Yeah, I think Jeremy and I were talking about it. We're going to try to get to, I think it's 12,000 to do the next 5. So we're hoping to get people like motivated enough to get to 12,000. But yeah, that was our mindset. Was trying to get to more money to get more of the issues made.
And there are some sample pages on the Kickstarter site. What I saw of that looked really cool. So hopefully we're going to get to see a lot more coming from there. I'm excited for you guys. I think it's a great project, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it in the finished product here. Your other project, we had a chance while you were coming on to talk with Jeremy about PRINCELESS and some other things that are going on. You've got VACANT. All we've done is told people how to find it. Tell us about VACANT.
VACANT's essentially a science fiction, like film noir kind of comic about an alien named Hayes who's trying to figure out how most of the human race was killed. He's been put on that duty, so he's now like asking different aliens what they know about it. Specifically convicts, and so the webcomic's been up for a couple years, doing it for a while, and I self-published it. The volume 1 just came out recently. I just got that printed, and it's doing pretty well, I think. Yeah. How much? What else would you want to know about? I don't know.
No, it's a good start. I think the big thing is to go and check it out on the site. I think you'll really enjoy the story if you do, guys. Yeah, it's a nice mystery to find out what happened to the human race. Obviously, it's where the human race has had a big impact on an interstellar level, but the human race itself has disappeared. So it's a great story. Is there anything else that is there anything else that the two of you want to tell us about Illegal?
Well, it's like you said, the first volume is already funded, which will be the first 5 issues. So we're hard at work on that. Heather is currently drawing issue 1, which we are hoping to have out and finished around the end of this year, beginning of next year, because we've got a lot of comics to send people now, and what we're going to do is keep that first volume going, and hopefully what we'll be able to do is set up with a publisher to make sure that we can keep the series going and that we can get that out to a larger audience, because we really appreciate the the people that have backed us on Kickstarter, and we want to make sure that we can get that whole series done and out, and that they can be able to recommend it to people, not necessarily have to go track it down online somewhere. They can order it from their comic shops and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll see the series starting up with a publisher sometime after we get this first issue or two out there to our Kickstarter backers. And with every stretch goal we hit, we're adding more and more to everybody's package. So, for example, this one we're aiming for right now at 7,000, not 70,000, 7,000.
70, but that's okay. At 7.
Yeah, at 7,000. Everybody who's already backed at $10 or above will not only be getting the digital copy of issue 1 that they'd already be getting, but they'll also be getting a digital copy of issue 2 when that comes out. So, and we're going to keep adding those up as the total keeps going up. So, hopefully the more people pitch in and the more they encourage other people to do so, the more of the story they'll be able to get just as part of their reward tiers that they've already put in for.
Sounds good. I want to thank you both for being on here, and those of you who are watching the podcast, you will note some technical glitches here besides my iPod crashing, but those are on me. I really appreciate your time, Jeremy and Heather, for joining us, and wish you the very best with Illegal. And thanks again for joining us on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.